Welcome back to the program. We are now honored to be joined by Andrew Robinson, president of the Black Slaves Monument of St. Helena Island. Mr. Robinson, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Mr. Robinson, I'm hoping you'll help us learn something very important today. For starters, I'd like to understand why you want to establish a Black Slave Monument for the Eddings Point Cemetery.
I like to start that because a lot of young people don't know anything about slavery and what went on during slavery. And as I was coming up, not as a slave, but my grandparents was slave, and people was the family was a family together. When anyone get in trouble, the other family is there for them. But now I notice that all this is gone. Everybody is out for themselves and not to help anyone. And I would like to try to bring some of this back, family and good neighbors back to this to the plantation. And I would also like to, I started a college fund for the student, but I expect them to have high grade to give them tuition to college. But I expect something from them. I expect them to do some neighbor, go to the senior citizen house and help them out if they need the grass cut or they rake leaves or something like that. I think that will give them some kind of responsibility, that they have some kind of responsibility to the senior citizen who did a lot for them, which they don't know anything about. During the Civil Rights March, a lot of blacks have given their life that they could have a better life. And I would like to bring some of that back in the neighborhood. And I think education is the key to success. And if you don't have any education, you are lost. And it's too many of the young people is turning to drug, gang bangers and whatnot. And we don't need that. We need a better life to show people, young people, that they can do better in what they're doing now. And I hope the young people will listen to what we have to say to them about this.
Mr. Robinson, you will have a very receptive audience here. We very much believe in what you're speaking to, which is the authority of strong nuclear families and the idea of growing ourselves not just as individuals, but as a community. I'm hoping you'll speak to the funding sources you expect to receive with respect to the Black Slave Monument and the scholarship that you spoke to.
Yes.
You want me to speak about what?
The funding sources, sir. Who is supporting you in our community, and how will these initiatives be funded?
Well, I hope to get some kind of help from the. I would like to speak, get in touch with the congressman. I think I did had some talk with him before, and he wanted some information who owned the slave cemetery. And I haven't got that yet to get back to him. And he said he was willing to help.
So, Mr. Robinson, what are your plans for expansion on the Eddings Point Cemetery?
Well, I expect to have a monument like the one on Dato, that the young people would know what the slave was about, and that they have the opportunity that I didn't have when I was growing up, and they should use it and try to educate themselves instead of going to drug and gang bangers. That's not going to help you any. The only thing you expect from that to go to jail or either get killed before your time. So that's what I want to try to bring back to the community.
Mr. Robinson, our parents are indeed our first best teachers. How can the next generation of young people honor the heritage that you're working to preserve?
How would they inherit it?
How could they honor you, sir, and the mission that you have to make their lives stronger?
Well, all I want them to do, try to do better. That's all I want from them. And not just to look out for themselves, but to help others on the way. Because to help you see someone going the wrong way and you tell them that that's not the right way that they're going, I think that would be a great help also.
Mr. Robinson, it was your generation who defeated the Nazis in Europe. It was your generation who has led and created the civil rights movement as we understand those rights and benefits today. As I hear you, you're saying that you want people to understand better that we are all in this together. What's one thing that you've done in your lifetime that involved more than just yourself in which you found success?
Well, I didn't know about my grandparents until my nephew, he worked for the police department, and I managed to tell him about my grandparents and whatnot, and he looked it up, and then that's when I found out about my grandparents, great-grandparents. And I find out that my great-grandfather, I was lucky to have the same name he had, Andrew Robinson. And he was like what you would call a rich man, because in those days he was a farmer. And he had two wives, and the first Freedom Bank was opened, I think, in Beaufort on Bay Street. He opened an account there, and he said he divorced his first wife, and he said to the bank that I don't want to have to come to the bank for my wife to have money to take care of my children. I want her to come to the bank and get the amount of money that she needs to take care of my children. So I think that was, I wanted to be a man like him, to take care of my children. The children is my responsibility. And that's the way all young men should think, that their children is their responsibility, nobody else.
All right. Andrew Robinson is president of the Eddings Point Cemetery Black Slaves Monument. Andrew, thank you for joining me today. It has been an honor, sir. I hope you come back soon.
Okay.
Thank you. And we'll be right back after this commercial break.